This Russell Brand interview is a fantastic case study in social interaction, social dynamics, understanding frame, social vision. There's a million different tactics in here that we're going to cover. It's going to be very informative for you guys. Russell Brand's game is actually very, very similar to mine. I actually think we think very similarly about social situations, and we have a lot of the same calibration. I haven't watched this in probably about 4 or 5 years, so I don't really remember everything in it. It's almost like I'm watching it again for the first time, which is good because it means I don't have this pre-prepared in my brain. You're going to get the live read as if I'm doing it right now. Let's begin.
Big deal. I know. I'm told this. I'm not very pop culture. I'm sorry. Comedian, movie star, author, and host of the show Brand X, Russell Brand. This summer, he's embarking on his first ever worldwide comedy tour, The Messiah Complex. Katty Kay and Brian Shackman are here as well, and he already told Brian that he might want to disrobe. I'm just saying.
I just thought maybe I could loosen up a little, show a little more chest hair. And he said maybe I should
I
do
only
it
think
more.
Russell can do that. You look fantastic.
That is a very kind compliment. You also look beautiful. Brian, you are free to wear whatever you want. This is one of your freedoms that is afforded to you. I appreciate that.
So you hear how they're talking like he's kind of not there. They're talking about him in the third person. They're almost basically dogging him right out of the gate. Like this part right here when they're like, I'm told he's a really big deal.
I know. I'm told this. I'm not very popular.
So they're ignoring him, saying, oh, he's a really big deal, as if he's not really there. So that's obviously, they're withholding their social focus from him. He's got to figure out how he wants to respond to this.
Katty Kay and Brian Shackman are here as well.
So we notice,
Disrobed. I'm just saying.
notice how he just sits there and just kind of just listens. Like they're going to talk, they're going to do their own little thing, whatever. They haven't even really addressed him or anything. So he's just going to sit back and wait. If he tries to butt himself into this conversation, it looks needy because it's a disrespectful conversation and that's not his role, right? Like they're supposed to come to him. So it would be needy if he went and charged into a conversation that was disrespectful. So he waits for them to bring him in.
Show a little more chest hair. And he said maybe I should do it more.
Russell can do that. You look fantastic.
That is a very kind compliment. You also look beautiful. Brian, you are free to wear whatever you want. This is one of your freedoms that is afforded to you. I appreciate.
There you go. See, he waited for the compliment. They compliment him in. He immediately comes back and he's giving. So if he had been right out of the gate very butthurt or like defensive or suspicious, that would mean that all of that dogging has like made him pull back, which means that they're actually controlling him. Instead, by being positive, having high vibe, and actually giving, it says, I'm the person here whose judgment matters the most. I don't really care what you think of me. I was waiting for you to bring me into the conversation, but what you think is irrelevant. What I think matters. And so he automatically comes in with high vibe. He said it in an emotional tone, and he immediately gives out 3 compliments, even though they've been digging on him. This is something that like power gamers don't understand. They're like, well, they've been disrespecting me, so I need to disrespect them back. He's instead saying what they think doesn't matter at all. They can dog me and I will still love them for it because my judgment is so much higher than what they think.
The boots are. I want to see them. Come on, put them on the table.
Pinky boots time.
Wow. So
There are some boots.
Those are nice. They're made up. Relax.
I wouldn't do that. I don't want to disrespect your program.
Okay, no.
You did ask to see
And I like
fellow.
All right. So this is important here because one, they first did the thread choice about like, hey, the boots. So that's cool because that's vibe, right? And they asked to show the boots. And so he complies here, right? So this is a thing. He normally would not, like a person who's butthurt is gonna be like, well, I know you're gonna try and trap me or something else. He's like, cool, I'm gonna roll with it because it doesn't matter because I know that my ability to hold frame and everything else is so much higher that yeah, I'll play along with your game, right? So he puts the boots up, but then later on they do try to, and he probably knows that trap is coming where they're gonna use that to try to reframe him, right? And so the trap does come like, yeah, go ahead, put your boots up, right? So now they've changed the portrayal of that from something that she asked. Something that she's trying to reframe as disrespectful, even though he complied, right? So he knows here, he probably knew that was coming in. This happens all the time where people try to trap us in these little hoops. And for us to be suspicious and be like, no, I know you're trying to trap me. That subcommunicates insecurity. So it's like, I know I can play along with what you want because later on I'm gonna be able to handle it. So he puts the boots up and then they say, yeah, put your feet up, which is them kind of trying to dog on him. And so he immediately is going to put his foot back down and he's going to say, hey, I was playing nicely. I was just doing what you told me to, not like, I'm not disrespecting you. So he's going to push back against this here, which is what he does right here.
I don't want to disrespect your program.
Okay, no,
You could ask to see
and I like
fellow English woman, so
and
I
we
feel
do
obliged.
talked about kinky boots recently.
Yeah, so he does explain himself a little bit here, but he communicates it in a way that I'm not trying to disrespect your program. And that is a gift because it's basically saying, I'm trying to have respect for your program, but at the same time, it's also a little bit, I don't know, it's kind of framed from above. Like, yeah, I know I accidentally disrespect people sometimes, like, so that is, I think a person who doesn't really understand social dynamics is going to say, oh, he's apologizing and he's giving respect. But actually, at these highest levels, it's about giving. Like, giving controls frame. Like in the beginning, they kind of complimented him, and then he said, actually, I'll compliment you one better. That's kind of the way that works, right? The butthurt guys, they can't do that.
Yes, fantastic show. You have to go. Okay, Russell. Oh, sorry about that. That's all right.
It's like perspective. It's giant Jenga. It's like your desk is a puzzle.
It is. I'm sorry about that.
What is the solution?
I think we
This is brilliant. So this guy over here tries to frame this as disrespect. So this tells us that he's on a quest for power. And that also is a little bit passive aggressive because it's like he's appealing to someone else's authority that he's trying to disrespect it. That this is disrespectful behavior. If he was a real man, he would just let everyone, like, he would just react as if that was disrespect, and his authority would be looked at as like, that's not good. So instead, he's appealing to another authority to let someone else know that this is disrespectful. That's weak. Russell here responds with vibe. So rather than engaging this disrespect over here, he then immediately takes this into vibe. He withdraws his specific focus and goes back to a social, broader, fun focus, which is like, this is just like a giant Jenga. What's the solution? That says that my mind is still in a creative spot and I didn't even hear this over here. So now his bid for to be heard for this disrespect hasn't fallen on whoever he was appealing to, and it hasn't even fallen on his targeted victim over here either. So this is smart. We use this vibe focus in order to paint other people as trying, which is exactly what happened here.
Go, love. Be careful because that's a low-cut dress.
Sorry. Okay.
Now that, oh my. Okay, so this is a little forward dominance. Like, she was showing her cleavage, so he called it out. This is our very first example of him expressing. This is forward dominance. So this is a break, even though it's escalatory, because he's taking a massive risk by calling that out. So now he is almost, it's kind of like he's barging into their land and now taking it over and setting standards of what is okay in this environment. It is okay for me to say this in this environment. That's going to feel very invasive to them. At the same time, it's very dominant to have done that. And so we're going to see how this responds, because this is probably going to put them a little bit on the defensive, because he's saying this is the way to be. And my standard of what we're allowed to say on this show is higher than what yours is. Obviously, talking about a girl's cleavage on a show, the show itself probably is not so down with that. And probably overall the audience may not be, but he doesn't care, right? He feels like he has judgment authority over all of that.
To know.
I'm just going to have a drink here. Messiah Complex. That's the name of your tour?
Yes.
Do you have one?
No. It's mental illness.
Right. And you don't have that either?
I hope that I'm here as a fully qualified professional gentleman.
None of us are.
Free from mental illness.
There we go. So man, there's a lot there. So he goes on this vibe. If he does come off of this and she asks a question, obviously this is an interview, he is supposed to be getting his questions asked and answering them. So he immediately hops off of the vibe and cuts back over to like a normal subject, right? He doesn't stay on that for too long. And now she says, okay, hey, do you have a mental illness? That's a little bit of a weird thing. He sidesteps that, doesn't see any disrespect in that, although it probably may have had some sort of implication on that. And he immediately comes back and answers it honestly. And then he ties that into a vibe. He says, I hope I'm here as a fully qualified gentleman, right? So this is starting to go back into a little bit of that vibe. He's being a little bit creative. He's also adding some sort of personal expression here.
Right. And you don't have that either?
I hope that I'm here as a fully qualified professional gentleman.
None of us are.
Free from mental illness.
Free from.
Okay, so notice how she tried to talk over him and he paused and then just continued his sentence. So he didn't let himself be cut off. One thing we'll notice is a lot of times we will not try and talk over people. we will be quiet and then continue our sentence. So we're not going to fight to try to talk over other people. We're just going to continue after we've heard them.
This is a hotbed of neurosis and
That's
psychosis.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my word, I'm grateful to be here.
Yeah. But Joe's
Okay.
That's true.
Okay, so he could have gone into this like deep logic thing here about neurosis and stuff. He was kind of getting into a logical conversation. He pulls himself back off and comes back up, back into vibe. So this was good on him to understand that he wanted to go down this conversation, but he also knew he probably needed to stick to something else because of this whole thing is a national interview.
Although we actually bring more mental illness to the table than we admit, at least on this side here, for sure.
On this side.
So tell me about the tour. You're starting in
So that look from him right there, where he looks confused, it's just like, why would you insult yourself out of nowhere? But it just seems strange to him. So he gives that, but he's not going to say anything to that because one, there's no real reason to go down that. It's only going to break vibe if he talks about their mental illness. He should probably believe the best in them, that they're great people and that they don't have any problems. So he doesn't want to get into that, but at the same time, it just seems odd. Like, why would you say that? Maybe she's nervous. But either way, she then picks up this conversation here and is going to ask him some questions.
Gabby? Is that where it begins?
Yeah, it's in a lot of Middle Eastern nations and South Africa and all across Europe, and of course in your wonderful country and in our country. I'm it's a really good tour. I'm talking about Malcolm X, Che Guevara, Gandhi, and Jesus Christ, and how these figures are significant culturally, and how icons are appropriated and used to designate consciousness and meaning, particularly posthumously.
And what brings all those people together?
They're all people that died for a cause. They're all people whose icons are used to designate meaning, perhaps not in the manner in which they intended.
I kind of like that. That sounds dead serious.
You know, it's funny when you do it as a joke. Totally serious on stage.
Can't we get 30 seconds?
All right. So this is obviously all logic, but this is a part of the interview. Obviously, he's here to pitch his stuff. So he kind of explains it, right? But then he's smart enough to know that at the end of the day, it is comedy. He wants people to show up to his thing. So he's not going to make it all sound like super serious. Like, he's trying to make a point here, but he's like, people aren't going to go to it because it is a comedy thing that he's promoting. So he's got to make it sound like it's comedy. So he's showing a little bit of that vibe here so that the audience, not these people, the people watching this, will say, okay, cool. That actually sounds interesting and funny. So that's why he kind of cuts back to vibe here. There's not really a real social dynamic reason why he cuts back to vibe here other than that, I think.
Get 30 seconds now?
Oh, not really, love. I mean,
Gandhi,
this is
go.
Gandhi, go. I hope that's not your message too, Gandhi. The people of India. No. You know.
All right, so this is cool. So this is a compliance test that he decided to refuse. This is interesting because he knows that if he does take this, he would be a little bit of a dancing monkey. And that's not really where he wants to go with this. He probably has read that like these people here are probably digging on him a little bit. And while you want to roll along with that so you don't look butthurt, at the same time, you don't want to get totally suckered in because he knows that they're probably going to turn around and use that against him and it's going to make him look bad. So that's the reason he neglected to do that. Also, the other guy tried in. He followed this girl. The girl's like, hey, can you do this? And he was like, Gandhi, go. So that's obviously, we know that guy already seems like he's on a little bit of a power quest. And so that there was probably some sort of, weak dick energy behind him trying to then tell him here to do that. Rather than him immediately fight back on that, he just rolls with it. Right. This is something a lot of guys do is when a guy disrespects them, they got to go back and get into a little fight with them. But it's like, I'm above that. So let's watch that again.
Go. I hope that's not your message too.
All right, so the guy does it twice, which is even weaker, by the way, because he knows he didn't get hurt the first time, and so he says it again. So, by the way, whenever somebody tries to do a confrontation with you, it's always good to make them say it twice because a lot of times they can't, or you paint them as try hard by making them say it twice. You'll notice this guy voluntarily says it twice, which means he, one, doesn't feel heard, and he really, really wanted to say it. So it tells you it's not a part of vibe. There's no real reason to say it because if it didn't get heard the first time, obviously the group doesn't value it. He said it again because there's some sort of power involved. So we'll see it.
Go. I hope that's not your message too, Gandhi.
Also notice that eye ping whenever he looked over, like not him, but the guy who said it. There's an eye ping for him to check to see if it was okay, right? Like he was looking at the camera, which is an odd mental place for his brain to be at when he says that, right? He's looking for permission while he does it.
On the go. I hope that's
Quick ping. That quick ping is permission seeking, and it lets us know how he really feels about things. All right, but he could, so he knows he's being dogged on here. He's not, but you look thin skinned, if you immediately ping on that and start fighting back. This is where guys who get in frame battles don't understand this. Is like, these people are not a threat. I'm so higher than this that I'm not even going to get into it like that. If this guy got really insecure and started fighting back immediately, they're going to have this guy on, they're going to have him on skates. He's got to be way cooler than that. So here he's going to give his compliance again. I'm going to roll with it, right? Let you think that you're winning. This is total judo. Letting this guy think he wins, letting him think he's in control. He's not in control. I can totally smoke you whenever I want. So I'm just going to roll because I'm not threatened here.
You know, it's funny though, because I travel a lot. And
people are at work, are they?
yeah, they're
Yeah.
working.
They're just at work.
Well, no,
Work more quietly.
they're Facebooking actually.
What are they doing?
Facebooking.
They're Facebooking.
Yeah.
Shopping. I bet they can't look at pornography. I bet it's blocked on the website. Huh?
I don't know.
They look pretty focused. But they're allowed to look at, if they wanted to, they can tweet, they can Facebook.
This by the way is genius. So he is using vibe here to reframe back on that other guy. So if you look and see when this happened, the other guy tried to get serious. He dogged on him, trying to say like, Gandhi, go, all this other shit. Then he comes in and tries to ask for compliance to be listened to on a question. So he says, oh yeah, let's get serious here and let's ask questions. He immediately changes so he's asking the question and he is going to pull back to social vibe focus. I'm not getting into this. I'm pulling back the specific focus and I'm going to go over here, and he does a big break, which is and this is an interesting, because he's given himself permission just to yell at the entire newsroom, which is a massive break, right? He's taking a big risk. It's also very expressive, but at the same time, it's also vibe, because he's saying like, I'm in this focus of what the hell is going on. Like, this guy has lost my attention because he hasn't played along. He's been trying to dog me. And now I'm not just going to rush in and give him focus or any attention because he hasn't really earned it. He's been being a bad person. If you want to have my focus and hold it, you need to play along a little bit better. He's been doing a good job of saying, this is how to be. You see how I've been playing along with you? You're not playing along with me, right? So, there's a little bit of setting an example here, and this is why this happens here. And this is a really good example of using vibe as a break, because the break is, I'm going to ignore what you said, and I'm going to allow myself to pull back to vibe here.
Facebooking.
They're Facebooking.
Yeah.
Shopping. I bet they can't look at pornography. I bet it's
This is a full vibe conversation. This is just all the way, just like, what is the thing that feels good in my brain? What is a crazy concept that I'm thinking about? What is curiosity? What is fascinating? It just shows the other people they're losing his interest because, they really aren't doing anything that's adding any value to him. They're actually trying to take value from him. So whenever that's happening, of course, his mind is going to go back to whatever feels good to him.
blocked on the
No, I don't know.
focus. But they're allowed to look at, if they wanted to, they can tweet, they can Facebook.
Yeah, they have to. That's part of
They're
their
probably tweeting right now.
They're tweeting themselves senseless back there.
Yeah.
Lovely. That's
Yep. Now, so he's got the other guy back on it, right? The other guy's having to force himself into this. Everyone else has kind of had to follow his social vibe. They can't fight against it because he's creating good emotions. This is interesting. This is funny. This is hilarious. So if they stop and dig in and fight against his vibe right now, it makes them look even more try hard. Like, hey, let's get serious here. Let's focus. Now he's got him on the leash, right? It's the dog that's running away and saying, haha, come play with me. They got to let him chill, let him do everything. It also is fun and enjoyable, but they can't try and fight that, right? It's one thing that's about vibe is if a person's trying to pull another person off of vibe, they look like they have a goal. So they kind of have to wait this out a little bit, which is nice.
the atmosphere of we're a hotbed of
It's a
news.
working news. Yeah.
They're actually actors.
They're all fully qualified.
Yeah.
They're all
Okay, so that guy kind of, they're actually actors. Okay, he's trying to come back in and dog on him, right? In a little way, but he's just going to roll with it, right? Like, obviously, that's a lie. He's going to see if Russell could fall for that lie. Russell just rolls with it, right? It's like, oh yeah, wow, they really are. But this goes to show it doesn't matter what that other guy says. It's not really relevant. You'll notice here, he's not engaging him. He's not letting him have ping. So what's happening is like the other guy's trying to swing and he can't hit him, right? Other guys, they engage that guy. They're going to sit there and fight back against him. That's what that guy wants. He wants to have that engagement, right? It costs twice as much energy to swing and miss than as it does to swing and connect.
Teamwork. So people, I mean, you have a pretty broad range here. I'm going to ask a serious question. Can I try? I'll try.
Try. It's never
Okay,
good.
I'll try.
Go ahead.
Everyone asks, what do you like better, TV, movies, or stand-up? Which one's more difficult? I mean, going on stage, I think is probably pretty tough. A movie can be boring because you shoot a thing 100 times. TV is what it is.
Challenges in all of that.
Okay, so this is interesting because this guy, he's bidding again, but this time he's basically begging to say, hey, I'm really going to try here. This is an honest thing, right? Because now he is basically, he's not trying to come in like he's the dominant guy. I'm trying to ask this question. He's like, hey, dude, just help me. Help me ask you a question. So Russell knows I have to comply back to that, right?
Different disciplines. The thing I enjoy most is stand-up comedy because you're direct with your audience. You can't be misinterpreted. People can't get confused. You know what happens if you work in media? People like to change the information so that it suits a particular agenda. If you're in a room with people, then what you're saying is clear. If you say something that people are confused about, you can explain it to them then. If you say something as a joke, people can't pretend that you're saying it seriously. So I like having direct communication with people because I believe people are very, very intelligent, but the information gets manipulated a lot and people like to cause fake stirs and stuff.
You know, funny, the accent, when I
Okay, so this is interesting because this was a subtle, a subtle dig at the entire media thing and probably at them. It's a little bit unnecessary. And if I was going against this, I read this as some sort of inner need and agenda. It's breaking vibe because you're like, there's no real reason that you need to say that unless you had some sort of grievance or that you were butthurt. And I would personally probably counter that with something, well, I'll have you, we can get you into therapy, or whatever. I'm sorry. Where did the media industry touch you? Something along those lines, right? Because it seems like he obviously has a little bit of a grievance on it.
People like to cause fake stirs and stuff.
You know, funny, the accent, when I see him in person, it's totally fine. Forgetting Sarah Marshall or the TV show, it's fine. But on satellite radio in the car, I can't understand a single joke you say.
You can't understand it.
I can't. Yes, but I'm telling you, when I'm driving in the car and everyone's laughing in the audience of the radio.
Okay, so this is interesting, right? So he was weak here with this whole like launching a little bit of a thing. He's going to do the same thing. He pulls the focus back off of this and he directs it to her about like, hey, I just can't really understand this guy, right? Like, so he's a little bit in. So this is obviously a power move because he's pulling it back and then he's talking about another man as if another man is not really there. Like he's saying, I'm like, that's breaks bro code. It's very disrespectful for a man to do that. A chick can, but a man can't. A man can't talk to another girl about a guy who's literally right there as if he's not there. It's very disrespectful to do that. I don't think that what he did here was bad, although it was a subtle dig at the media industry, and he is a part of the media industry. So he's pulling back.
Can't understand it.
I can't. Yes, but I'm telling you, when I'm driving in the car and everyone's laughing in the audience of the radio, I'm like, I have no idea what he's saying.
It's best you focus on your driving. Right. You're a man. You don't want to be distracted by humor. You might crash into a pedestrian.
That's a good thing.
I think
That's great. So he gets himself out of this situation by going back up to vibe. And this is a fantastic line to say, hey, you should probably focus on your driving. You don't need to be listening to this type of stuff anyways. That's excellent. It's funny and it's a slight dig. Like, hey, you're just not really that good of a driver, right? Or maybe you're focused too much on your driving. So that is going back into vibe. You can see how vibe is being used as the highest form of things. It's the person who holds vibe the best is kind of always going to have power, and everyone else is kind of trying against the vibe in order to be heard a little bit. And what happens is it forces everyone to kind of join into and find the best way to contribute to the vibe in order to be able to have status. Trying to fight against the vibe is low status because it means that you're taking from the group in some way.
it's probably for the best.
I think this is my first
Brand experience.
yeah. I think it's not listening to him. It's experience. It's just sort of taking it all in.
You are talking about me as if I'm not here and as if I'm an extraterrestrial. You know, I'm from a country that's near to you.
Dummy. We're just sort of admiring the whole, it's the whole thing. It's
Well, thank you for your casual objectification.
an experience.
So there's so much to cover here. So he's finally checking them on their bad behavior. They keep talking about him. They keep dissing on him. And so he's kind of allowed it and allowed it and allowed it. But now it's obviously getting to the point that he wants to address it and show that, hey, okay, let's check this. So you'll notice the wrong way to do this is to whine about this or whatever. Instead, the right way to do this is to give them the check, but slide it in with the vibe. So it's like he's basically being the cool guy who's letting them know you're kind of fucking up here. It's like you're talking about me like I'm not even here and like I'm an extraterrestrial, right? The saying extraterrestrial is cool because that's a creative thing. Who even thinks of that, right? Like, so it shows that his mind can't be too much. Like his limbic system is not in panic mode where I need to fight back. It's like he's still chill, he's still comfortable because his creativity stuff is still on and he's unflappable. However, he's letting them know, like, you guys are not being really cool. And you're starting to break vibe.
Country that's near to you.
Dummy. We're just sort of admiring the whole, it's the whole thing. It's
Well, thank you for your casual objectification.
an experience.
That's a killer line. When she's like explains herself and he's like, well, thank you for the casual objectification. So that's great. That's a great example of he's saying thank you, but he's obviously not saying thank you. So he's still continuing to say, I'm giving, I'm being nice, I'm polite, I'm the cool person, I'm the source of value here. I'm still letting this flow, but I'm not flappable, right? And I'm letting you know you are objectifying me. And it's painting them as low value. It's painting them as someone who's people who are trying to get something out of him, who are trying, like, right? Like he's the cool guy, I'm the value, and you're over here taking pot shots at me. Like, I mean, if you want to keep doing that, I guess you can, but you're kind of starting to embarrass yourself here, guys.
I'm glad that it is positive for you.
Positive. Absolutely. Any other questions? Nervous.
You've become nervous.
Yeah.
Why are you nervous? You're a powerful woman. You've got a lovely job. What seems to be the trouble? You've got a hair like Princess Diana. Yeah. Well, I've never when she was
Okay. When she was alive, Jesus. Oh, man. Okay. So he's kind of turning on a little bit of the charm here. First of all, you notice like the phases of this conversation, serious, vibe. Now he's turned on basically here. He's turned on empathy and emotion and he's focused on her. He's actually turned on like his like seeing her kind of thing. He's like, you're nervous. Why are you nervous? This and that, right? Like he's starting to connect with her like in an emotional level. You also saw that they had a little bit of an eye contact there. So obviously like she's probably not totally into this, but this is kind of like him just being like a flirt. It's not like that scary, creepy dominance. It's more like that I do this to everybody. Like this is how I am, and this is a little bit of that forward, what I call a forward salient, where it's like you're showing intent, but it's like you haven't really earned it. Like I'm just letting you know that that threat is there. Like if you screw up, I will make this happen. Not like I'm going to. It's not organically sustaining, but it's like I've got that danger, got that edge. But you can see how he's controlling the phases of this conversation. He decides if we go into vibe. He decides if we go into serious. Now he's moved this over into like an emotional empathy kind of thing where he's directly paying attention to her. This is a really high form of control.
and you've got a lovely job. What seems to be the trouble? You've got a hair like Princess Diana. Yeah. Well, I've never when she was here's to being offensive.
Subtext.
Yes.
I'm petrified of her, and you have her on her heels.
She's just moved down the
I
other
absolutely love this. Keep
Willie, what?
going.
What seems to be the
Okay, so you see how he just got so calm and he just laid back in his chair, right? Like he's just like, cool, I'm just going to let the kids play here. No one's really laid a hand on him the entire time.
trouble, love?
Willie Brandt? With who? Willie Brandt. Would you do therapy with him? I don't think that's where he's heading. Okay. I'm all right. Yeah.
You shouldn't say he when a person is present. You should refer to the person by their name. That's basic good manners.
That's where Willie is heading.
Because it looks like he's flirting with this girl, right? He's showing that his focus is still so much higher. It quickly jumps back. Like it's very easy to get me to stop paying attention to you. So he's not so focused on that. A lot of guys, they'd be so focused on her that they're only hearing whatever that conversation is and they want to get back to that. But his mind is actually not even there yet. Like she hasn't really got his focus yet because when people are talking about this stuff, he's thinking about grammar And like, you shouldn't say he when this and this and this. So for his mind to even be there shows that she still has a lot of work to do to get his full specific focus onto her. This is a small version of him jumping back to vibe. So the speed at which and the ease with which we jump back to vibe shows how little of control people have on us, because and the easier it is to pop back, it just says, hey, you don't really have my full focus yet. You haven't really earned it, right? But having that forward edge of danger says that when you do get it, I'm going to be in total control.
Who is Willie?
I don't. Okay, Russell Brand.
Is this what you?
Okay.
You should refer to the person by their name. That's basic good manners.
That's where Willie is heading.
Who is Willie?
I don't. Okay, Russell.
So they keep dogging on him, right? So she said Willie the first time, he ignored it, and now she said Willie the second time, and now he's probably getting a little bit frustrated here, and you can see the visual frustration on his face. So frustration tends to create anger. Anger is typically based in a feeling of powerlessness. Anger also has a tendency to bring lots of energy. And we know that Russell has lots and lots and lots of frame to spare. He hasn't really tapped his reserves, and we know that because he's been pretty unflappable this whole time, even though these other people have been trying very hard to land punches on him. Since I've seen this before, I already know what's about to happen, but let's lay the land on what is going on here. These people have not done very much to keep vibe. The other thing is they've been spending so long trying to do frame battles with him. And this is the damage that happens with when you get into frame battles. When you get into frame battles, you're not leading. You're too busy being caught. It's like two little ants that are fighting each other and they miss the scorpion that comes up and kills both of them. They've been so focused on being reactive to him to try to control him. They've completely left open the middle part of their battle line where they're supposed to be leading. They're supposed to be in charge of this show. This is their show. They're the anchors of it. They should be steering it. And they haven't been. They've been reacting to him the entire time. And they aren't bringing any value. They're not creating any vibe. He's kind of been in control of this the entire time, but he's been allowing them to seem to be in control. He's been gracefully giving back and playing nice, even though they kind of don't deserve it because he's higher. But you're going to see that his ego and probably his frustration with it is starting to rise to the point that he's going to flex control. People will say, wow, this is a really good thing. Look what he does. He blows the doors off this damn thing. But I want you guys to understand that that is driven from a sense of a bad place to be. It's when you flex that and you have to show it, it actually means that you are feeling slighted. It means that you felt wounded, and it does actually show a limit in your game because now somebody is actually getting a reaction out of you. So even though your frame may be ultra strong and people love to see these devastating blows, for your inner game, it's best to know that you probably don't want to do that unless you absolutely have to. So let's watch what happens.
That's what you do for a living. But I'm here to. Okay, well, let me help you. I'm here to promote a tour called Messiah Complex. It's here for the people of America. I want the people of America to come and see me do stand-up. Go to russellbrand.tv where you can purchase tickets to see me. These people, I'm sure, are typically very, very good at their job. What is it? You're conveying news to the people of America.
Yes.
People of America, we're going to be okay. Everything's all right. These are your trusted anchor.
Wow. Okay. So you can see he's taking massive control here. He's very, like, you could see how much more he had to give. He had way more power, way more strength. Now he's flexing it. They've been kind of realizing now they've been judoed the entire time. This guy has been letting them play, letting them win. Now he's going to come in and just sweep the entire table. He's doing that with vibe, because if you don't do it with vibe, it looks like you actually did have some sort of weird axe to grind. So you need to lace it together into something that feels good and it is entertaining in and of itself in order to drive that point home. This is why sometimes comedy in and of itself is the best way to get a political idea across, is because the comedy is creating the value that allows people to feel like that was the main reason, but actually you slipped in the thing underneath it. He's kind of doing that here with making a point, but it's going to be laced. It's actually going to be totally in vibe.
You're conveying news to the people of America.
Yes.
People of America, we're going to be okay. Everything's all right. These are your trusted anchor. Is that a news link? Use your papers. I'll shuffle them for you.
Yeah, have a look.
Give us that.
That's good. Pen. You need a pen.
Okay.
So that was a compliance test, right? So he actually does have compliance here. This guy probably hates this, but like he's like, hey, give me your papers, give me this and that, right? Like he, you know, he is in control here, right? And he's just look at this, leaning over to make sure, like he's kind of taken over this entire thing.
Cat. Okay, we're going to be talking about the situation with Edward Snowden. This whistleblower, is it good what he's done for America, or are our secrets being jeopardized by his intentions? We're going to be.
There's a really good example of these other people were trying to be like a lower version of maintaining dominance, but they're just so reactive. And it's like he's so high above that. It's like I've been letting you kind of get away with that.
We're talking about that. Also, Bradley Manning. Is Bradley Manning an American hero, or is he compromising the safety of American troops? We care about your views here on Morning Joe. We'll be talking about.
Think about like the amount where to have his mind at this level of social focus and creativity and hilariousness just is really showing like I don't need anything from you guys. Like you guys have been trying to land punches at me, and I'm not like insecure about it at all. So my mind isn't vibed. However, us being smarter, we know that his thread choice to even go down and do this, he made the decision to go and do this little bit. That's all driven from frustration. And it is actually small energy to do that. But it's just an example of flexing. Even feeling the need to flex, though, comes from a bad place.
Later, here with me are Brian and Kat. Brian, nice time. What do you think about Edward Snowden? What do you think about the situation with Snowden? Have you got anything to hide? Should we be concerned about the revelations that are occurring?
I don't know what's wrong with you. I understand everything he said.
because you're looking at him. When you don't see him and you don't see the lips.
I understand.
Stop saying he. I'm threatened. What's wrong with your manners?
You're good.
Be
at that.
polite.
I'm coming in tomorrow with a big necklace and I'm opening.
Look beyond the superficial. That's the problem with current affairs. You forget about what's important. You allow the agenda to be decided by superficial information. What am I saying?
There you go. So see, like each time they keep going back to their own thing of like, hey, I don't understand. That's like their little bit to try to act like they're trying to be in a frame battle with them, right? But they keep using the same thing. But you can hear how each time he passes his judgment. You know, he's the first one was stop saying he, say this. And then the next time he says something, he's like, you need to look past the superficial. So this is this higher level thinking. This is like, I'm like, I see this from like 35,000 feet. Like, stop looking at that. You need to have a bigger mind, expand your mind, right? Like rather than engaging that, he's like, kind of like he's talking above it, but still in a way that obliquely engages it.
What am I talking about? Don't think about what I'm wearing. These things are redundant.
I'm
superficial.
Okay.
Don't be distracted. What do you think that gesture means, the way you're touching that bottle? What does that indicate? What is that? What's the subtext of that?
We gotta go to break.
You need to lose that ring, Mika, because it don't mean nothing to you. You're grasping for the shaft. She's a shaft grasper.
Russell, that was
Okay, so you can see how he cuts back. So he's totally on vibe, totally on this thing. He just completely ran the whole thing. He's untouchable. So by the way, this is going to create tons of sexual tension, right? Because the girls are already feeling that he's very much in control and that he's the source of judgment here. Like he's outframed everyone. He leads it at will if he wants to, but then he can cut back to vibe as he chooses to. And then now when he jumps out of that, he jumps right back into a forward dominance here where he's breaking risks, but these are like breaks that are escalatory. Like, what do you think that sexual gesture means? What do you like? She's a shaft grasper, right? Like that is so escalatory, right? Like it's on the front heat side, sort of, right? But it's like, it's taking things in a sexual direction, but it's breaking. It's such a huge risk to do that like a guy who's trying for her wouldn't, like a guy who's like really trying and is like adapting is not going to take that risk because he's like, bro, you're just going to piss her off. But it's a way of, it's this rare situation where an escalatory action actually in and of itself takes a huge risk, which acts as its own break. And that's what forward dominance does.
we'll buy tickets. Absolutely.
We don't need to see the tour. I got it now. Russell
Messiah complex.
Thank you. The tour Messiah complex.
Don't be nervous.
Starts in August in Abu Dhabi, right?
So he cuts back, like, right? Like he's got this thing on her, right? But he cuts off of that before it's done. And he's back to, hey, yeah, don't forget I have my show, right? So it's crazy how his mind can just jump from focus to focus on so many different things, right? He's talking vibe over here. He's talking serious over here. He was completely leading here. So he's really very quickly, in a matter of 10 minutes, showed all of these just dynamic sides of him, right? The ability to run this table if he wants to. He obviously can. Now, if he'd come down and sat down and did that right from the beginning, it's just too try hard. That's what a lot of people who are like insecure guys who do like the sumo type thing, they feel like they have to be in charge of every single individual situation. It's like, no, I can be in charge when I want to be in charge, but I don't feel the need to always be in charge. I'll take it over whenever I feel like I have to, but if not, that's it's work. Having to be in charge is work. Like I'm just gonna sit back and if I need to be, I will be, and I can be. And that's exactly what he did, is that he laid low. These people probably read a little bit too much into his compliance stuff, got baited in. They also tried to get into a frame battle with him because they felt insecure. They felt that he was dominating it. The way to do that is they should have judoed him back, but instead they tried to sumo him back. But you can't do that, right? Because the harder that you try to do that, the more he's just going to run away with it and paint you as try hard, which is exactly what he did. You remember whenever he turned around and faced all those people, that was what it was. He was trying to come over here and be sumo and push him around, and he just retreated and pulled him into his trap to paint him as even more try hard. So let's talk about like what these people over here should have done, because it isn't like, oh, cool, this is awesome, he's just great, and this is how he should be. And by the way, this is very similar to how I am. But imagine that like I'm on the other side of this table, and this guy is close to my level, which I feel like he is. How would I handle this? Well, if he wants to do all these overtures and act out, that's great. I'm going to allow it, but we got to look at it like a child. Child's going to do, child's going to do, and that's cute. Like, cool, nice. I'm the parent here. Like, okay, so you have this show. What's up with the show? When did you come up with the show? Like, what do you want to achieve with it? How do you feel like this is a part of your dream? Things like that. Like we can actually lead this and have curiosity. These people never had like any real true curiosity about him. They were all very egocentric and only worried about the fact that they couldn't control him. So they felt threatened the entire time. They missed the entire chance to grow and like have him and learn about him. And what would happen is like, as we ask these questions and we learn about who he really is, we turn the conversation into something about him. We can ask questions that he's going to want to answer because he's going to be talking about himself and explaining himself, and we're in control of the conversation, right? So it's like, so tell me about that. Like, what is up with that? Like, why did you think this? I'm trying to learn here. Help me learn. They could do that. Another thing, whenever he acts out and stuff, they don't have to engage it, and they don't have to immediately try to like take back. They don't have to get into a frame battle with this. Like, they don't have to interpret this as disrespect. Instead, they can continue to hold the frame here and act like he's just acting really weird and maybe a little bit embarrassing. When you are the judgment authority, that's the way you're going to react when you see weird stuff. Like, even remember earlier, whenever she said something weird and he gave that strange look, that's that small little social cue that says, that's weird. They could be doing that type of facial stuff whenever he turned around and did that. Like, okay, man. So, Russell, where do you want to continue with this? Like, turn it over to him. Obviously, you want to do whatever you want. So, like, where do you want to go? What do you really want to cover today? Like, what? Like, we got 10 minutes here. So, what are the highlights? It's like add value to him. We're givers. Instead, they've been trying to take from him. And it's like, well, you're on our show giving you publicity. So we're really the givers here. So help us give to you. And they can use that to have control here. And that's what they really should have done. But they let themselves be insecure and feel threatened, and got themselves into a frame battle that they didn't need to be in, which is exactly where you don't want to be and is very immature. So a maturity handles this much more like a parent or a grandparent would. We don't address, we don't engage all these other things. I don't feel disrespect from these things. These people telegraph this super easy propensity to feel disrespected. They didn't need to feel that at all. Instead, they can just say, yeah, I don't feel disrespected at all from that. Just like the way that he did earlier. I'm not being disrespected. I'm going to continue to be kind to you and everything because your opinion doesn't matter. And by the way, we're the source of value here because we're the network and we want to help your show be a success. This tour that you're about to go on. They could play it all of those ways, and they really should have. Instead, they let themselves kind of get boxed into a childish frame against somebody who is a world-class comedian and just absolutely tooled them. So for them, that's their main failure, is fighting a battle that they could not win, and that they didn't even need to fight to win. They could have actually just won the war by really sticking to their leverage here. They have actual leverage, which is like, you're on our show and we want to help you promote your thing. They didn't do that. They didn't have the vision to understand that. It's a lack of leadership, a lack of strategy. And then of course, he just completely tools them. It's great for a case study here, but I wanted to kind of paint things both sides about like how would we actually kind of handle this if these were these people, instead of just kind of making fun of where they screwed up here. But anyways, hope this was helpful for you guys and as a good breakdown of social dynamics. And also we clarified a little bit of things about like why things are counterintuitive in judo. Why like a lot of times it isn't about who's has the frame, it's about who's trying to have the frame. And one of the most powerful things you can do is let them have it or play along with it like they have it, as a way of kind of letting them stay inside your box. So, all right, we'll catch you later, guys.